Hi everyone, today we are talking about linear equations word problems, specifically with graphs. As a reminder, you do not need to write down everything we cover in this video, but be sure to jot down important information and at least one example of each type of problem that we'll cover. Also remember that you can pause the video to jot down important notes, rewind to view information again, and fast forward if you think you got it. Just be careful, make sure you don't fast forward too much that you end up missing out on something important. Let's begin. So this lesson is mostly an application of what you've already learned. So we're going to review some important information. You should remember the slope-intercept equation, which is y equals mx plus b. You know what it looks like on the graph. The y-intercept is where it's going to touch the y-axis. The slope is how steep that line is. But now that we're starting to talk about word problems, we want to talk about how it's related to the real world situations. And that's where this acronym is going to help you. The M in y equals mx plus b not only stands for slope, but you can think about it as standing for move. That's not originally what it's standing for because it was in Greek, but you can think about the M standing for move. So the slope is telling you how steep the line is and how fast or slow it's moving up and over or down and over. The B is the y-intercept, but you can also see it as standing for beginning. So on a number line, a coordinate plane, you'll see that it is the beginning or the starting point. So again, slope, the M, tells you how much x and y are changing. You're going to use rise over run, or the slope formula, to see how much or how fast they're moving. Y-intercept, the B, tells you the starting point or the beginning, and it's going to be on your y-axis. So the point is going to have 0 for x and then the actual y value. Make sure that you have this jotted down in your notes before we head on to examples. All right, so let's take a look at some examples. We have linear equations word problems specifically using the graphs. So in this problem, they are asking us, or they're telling us the situation, and they have somebody named Carl setting out to Alaska in his truck. The amount of fuel remaining in the truck's tank in liters as a function of distance driven in kilometers is graphed. So it's the amount of fuel remaining. And then they want to know how fast did the truck consume its fuel. Go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own first. So key words here in this word problem is the amount of fuel remaining. That's important because that's very different than the amount of fuel that's in the tank. So when we talk about fuel, we are talking about the leftover fuel. So I want to go ahead and label that. And then the question is always important to tell us what's going on. They want to know how fast the truck consumed its fuel. So we know any line is made up of two important components. It's either the slope, or it's both the slope and the y-intercept. Those are two important pieces of information. So when I'm reading this question, I want to think to myself, are they asking me to figure out the slope, or are they asking me to figure out the y-intercept? Do they want to know the movement on the line, or do they want to know the beginning of the line? So when you read the question, how fast did the truck consume its fuel, you should have thought to yourself that they want to know how fast it's moving, the slope. How fast is the truck consuming its fuel? How steep is this line dropping? Is it like not dropping that quickly? Or is it like boom, dropping really quickly? That's what the slope is going to tell you. So this problem here is actually asking you for slope. These problems are either going to ask you for slope or y-intercept, the beginning. So in this problem, the word fast, how fast, tells us they want to know the slope, the rate of change. So in order to figure out that, I can use rise over run, or I can use the slope formula. Whenever there is a graph, I will always prefer to use the slope shortcut with rise over run. I'm going to zoom in on this so I can make sure I have pretty points. Here's a pretty point right here. This one not so much. No, 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 no. This one. That one was close, but not quite. So I'm going to use rise over run to do that, to figure out the slope. And so I need to make sure I put my rise on top and my run on the bottom. Rise is up and down. This one is going down the way I drew it. And then I need to also be aware how this is numbered. This is going down by 50s. So this is going to be 50, another 50, and another 50. Okay, so in total that's 150. If I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's not going to give me the answer. So this is 3 50s added together for 150. It is going down. When we go down, it is negative because it goes into the negatives. So this rise is negative 150. And then my run, these are going by hundreds. So each 2 jumps is 100. So this is 100. Another 100, and this is half of a jump here, or sorry, just 1 jump, so that's going to be 50. So I'm going to add all these 3 together to get my run, so that's 250. It's going to the right. This one was going down, and this one was going to the right. Going to the right is going into my positives, so this is positive. Here, for my slope, I will need to reduce. So I have 150 divided by 250. I can just get rid of those zeros because they both have that. So I am really dividing 15 by 25. They can actually be reduced by 5. So I end up with negative 3 over 5. Negative 3/5. Okay, it looks like the answers, they want it per kilometer, per 1 kilometer. So they want us to divide it up and get a decimal. So in my calculator, I can divide negative 3 by 5, and then I will end up with negative 0.6. So it's really based on how they want that answer there. Again, I divided negative 3 by 5. I could have also divided those two. Probably should have looked at the problem before I started doing my work. So it's negative 0.6. Now I see B is 0.6, but I don't see a negative. So I'm thinking to myself, did I do something wrong? And the answer is no. Okay. The question is asking how fast did the truck consume its fuel, meaning it's losing fuel. That's why this is a negative. If it were a positive, we would be doing something wrong because it would look like the more the truck drove, the more fuel it got, but that's not the case. This negative tells us that we are losing fuel. So in this answer, 0.6 is correct because they want to know how much was lost. So that negative is in the question. Okay, let's do another one. In this problem, it says that Jada sells ground paprika. Her weekly profit in dollars as a function of the number of paprika she sold that week in kilograms is graphed. So they want to know how much does Jada make for selling 5 grams of paprika. 5 grams of paprika. And then you have these choices. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can solve it yourself first. Okay, so again, here are my answers. and I'm looking at the table. There's profit on one side, and then there's the kilograms of paprika on the right-hand side. So they want to know how much Jada makes for selling 5 kilograms of paprika. Now, again, I either want my slope or my y-intercept. So y-intercept is the beginning, the start. The start is, well, she's not selling anything. That's 0 kilograms of paprika. So it kind of leaves me with slope as my answer, okay? So it seems kind of weird in this situation, but let's try it out. So we're going to go ahead and find the slope. 2 pretty points. Let's see, here's pretty point, and here's a pretty point. Go ahead and draw our triangle. We're going to do rise over run. So this is going by 50s each time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's 4 50s. So that's really like 200s. So that's really 200. Okay, and we're going down. So this is negative. Okay, and then now we are here when we went down, so we're going to go to the left now. And each 2 of these is 10. So 10, 20, and then 1 of them. So that's 5. So this is 25. And we're going to the left. Left is getting towards the negative, so that's negative. So our rise was negative 200, and our run was negative 25. They're both negatives, so we can end up changing them into positives. They cancel each other out. Okay, so our rise up and down was for profit. Okay, make sure that you follow that. Going up and down, our rise is profit. So I'm going to put that here. $200 profit. For every going left to right is kilograms of paprika. For every 25 kilograms of paprika. Now let's reread the problem. How much does Jada make for selling 5 kilograms of paprika? Well, according to our slope, we know that she makes $200 profit from 25 kilograms of paprika. So we just need to get to 5 kilograms of paprika. How do we get from 25 to 5? Well, we can divide by 5. And then we will get 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. And then on the top, we can also divide by 5. We're going to make sure top and bottom are the same. Let's see, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So then 200 divided by 5 would be 40. So it looks like she gains $40 for every 5 kilograms of paprika that she's selling. I love paprika. It's a great cooking spice. So $40 is our answer. So slope, if you notice, tells us how steep the line is, and it tells us the rate of change. How much money is changing in her pocket when she sells a kilogram of paprika? It seems kind of counterintuitive, doesn't make any sense. You would think for this problem that you would look up the 5, right? The 5 kilograms to get a negative number, but that doesn't make any sense. This is her business model. So she has a negative y-intercept starting because she had to invest money into her paprika business. She doesn't just have free paprika laying around, right? She had to go buy the paprika, and then she had to mark up the price so that when she sells it, she's getting a profit. So it looks like girlfriend spent about $275 to start up her business, and then she had to sell at least 35 kilograms of paprika to break even, get her money back. And then after the 35th kilogram of paprika, that's when she started making profit. So you can't just look up the table to see that profit. She didn't have profit during her first 5 kilograms of paprika. She had to sell a bunch more to start making that profit. So she had to make, or she had to sell more to get that amount back. Okay, so that one's kind of tricky. You kind of have to know your business side of what's going on, or else you would end up being very confused on this problem. Let's do one more problem. Oh, okay, it's the same problem as before. Carl, in this question now they're asking how much fuel was initially in the tank. Go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own first. All right, so in this problem, we already know that this is the leftover fuel from Carl's gas tank. Leftover. So we want to know how much fuel was initially in the tank. The word initially should tell us whether we are looking for the slope or the y-intercept. Remember, the slope, the m stands for move, and the y-intercept, the b stands for beginning. So how much fuel was initially in the tank? Initial is like the beginning or the starting point. So we know we are looking at the y-intercept here. How much fuel was in the tank in the beginning? Well, before he even started driving 0 kilometers, he had 500 liters of gas in his tank. The more he drove, the less he had left over in his tank. So the answer here, you should have 500. All right, so that's how those problems will go. You're either looking for the slope or the y-intercept, depending on what the question is asking you. Let me know if you have questions as you work on these problems, and I'll see you in class.